According to Google's AI overview, roughly 90% of podcasts fail to make it past episode 3. Or of those that do, an additional 90% stop putting out new episodes before they make it to 20. Today, we're putting out episode 100, which I guess makes us the most successful podcast ever. Move over, serial AI Knowhow coming through. Hi, I'm Courtney Baker, and this is AI Knowhow from Knownwell, helping you reimagine your business in the AI era. As always, I'm joined by Knownwell CEO David DeWolf, Chief Product and Technology Officer Mohan and Nordlight CEO Pete Buer. For today's show, we're going to take a look at the last 2 years in AI, or the last 14 years in AI, according to Mohan's calculation. Let's dive in. Guys.
That's a new opening. I haven't seen that one before.
I know. That's because it is episode 100.
Wow. Are we going to do something different this time around? Besides
Maybe.
Just open with, guys.
Oh, everybody listening, David and I are friends. Don't let his making fun of me think otherwise. So we have, it's 100 episodes. We have done a lot of talking. We've gone from AI being a curiosity for executives to being front and center in boardrooms, client conversations, and strategy decks. Today, instead of looking ahead, I'd like us to just take a moment, pause, and reflect. And a few questions for you two out of the gate. What have we learned in the last 2 years in this conversation? And what lessons should leaders carry forward into the next 2 years?
It's been a crazy 2 years. I mean, if you think of everything that's happened, like 2 years ago, like AI was this very interesting curiosity that everybody had, right? And I think the first lesson is that this curiosity has become our core story, right? This is no longer about experimentation. It's no longer about just being curious about technology and this advancement. It's actually now about the core business. And you see boards asking about ROI. You see CEOs mandating that we leverage it and pulling back budgets for headcount. You see very real issues being grappled with around how does this help us differentiate? How do we leverage it to propel the business forward, to go faster? What are the ramifications of it, et cetera, et cetera? And so it's a real thing. Like the transformation of business has started. It's no longer curiosity. It's no longer a side project. I think the second big lesson for me is that we, at the beginning, thought of this as a technology problem. Not necessarily a technology problem, but a technology opportunity. It turns out the biggest bottleneck for adoption is actually a cultural one, even a mindset one, right? It is driving such transformative change that we have to realize that change management is real, but also just like the mindset of being willing to challenge the status quo before you even change manage an organization. You have to change manage yourself, thinking about how we can fundamentally do things very, very differently from how we've done it before. And that would be the second lesson for me. And if I had to pick a third one, I would say that it's all about taking those two lessons and then extrapolating how do we execute. And I think it is, you pick something small, you prove value, and you take the results of that value and reinvest them in to go bigger and bigger and bigger. And we've talked on this podcast of a lot of different ways to do that, right? We can do it bottoms up, empowering people to manage and leverage AI on their own and have this grassroots effort. Then we can think even top down, what are those things that require sponsorship, and even starting those small and growing over time. But that playbook of, very similar to digital transformation, how do you start small, prove value, double down on what works, I think is playing out and working.
I think there is a scale between AI years and human years. It's something like every AI year is about 7 or 8 human years. So we are kind of in this teenage phase. It's very messy right now. So I agree with David. I think 2 years back it was more like a pilot. It was a shiny object. Now it is emerging into a platform, right? But it is still very messy because if your data is a mess, your AI predictions are just a faster way to become being wrong. Right? So it is kind of like you don't know what's right. This is at scale. And I'm not talking about you typing into Chat GPT. It's about scale. I think that's the second thing that the data governance, security, privacy, all of these things matter a lot. The third thing that I would say is around the speed of experimentation is going to matter a lot. It's about disciplined iteration. That's what compounds. It's not ad hoc. I did this pilot and whatever. That's where we were, and this is where we should be now. And then finally, what is changing a lot, and we're not there yet, but what likely will be happening in the next 2 years is that you're not logging into AI is logging into you. Right? It is your operating system, right? It's that sort of transformation that we are in the middle of, and it'll continue to go. But ultimately, it's no longer a curiosity or a shiny object. It's a real business platform for transformation.
I'll tell you how I know that is true. I went to the doctor on Friday, and this is not some high tech doctor. Matter of fact, I had to call him 4 times to get an appointment. Okay. So I get there. My doctor asked permission, and I had to fill out a form already, so they double asked for permission to record our conversation. And it's for AI. They're using AI to chat behind what they're doing, which I kind of was like, "Do y'all is anybody else seeing this?" Same reaction in that Wendy's. I've mentioned this on the podcast before. That Wendy's drive-through, whose AI is on point, taking my order. Um, have y'all experienced this yet? I need
I
y'all
haven't
to
done that yet.
y'all. It
No.
is like, and
Is
it
it
says
every Wendy's?
I don't know because I don't go to
I don't go to
Wendy's.
Wendy's, so I'm gonna have to step it up. Maybe we can get a sponsorship so
But
I can start going to Wendy's.
I will say it was a brand new Wendy's.
It was a
Brand
brand
new
new.
Wendy's.
There's a brand new Wendy's currently being built in my hometown, so I
Okay.
might have to go on opening day to check that out.
All that to say, we have come a long way in 2 years. Again, when we start seeing some of these industries that, you know, you're not expecting to be cutting edge, and they're deploying these things. And so, yeah, it's happening, guys. We are in the teenage years for sure.
Adolescence. How do we know when we
Adolescence.
become adults?
I will tell you, when the CEOs of these tech companies stop fighting with each other, when the tantrums stop, that's when we know.
When there's an ROI return to the parents.
Yes! Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Yes, that's exactly right, Mohan. So, obviously, we've got Wendy's, we've got the doctor's office, but I think there's probably some more things that we thought would happen, because I didn't think those 2 I just listed would happen, that haven't happened. Is there anything that comes to mind that
Hmm.
you're still waiting on?
We had this era of the new AI devices. Do you
Oh,
remember when all the
yeah.
devices were coming
The
out?
rabbit.
Yep, yep. And they were the biggest thing. And I think a lot of people knew the first ones wouldn't really play out. And there was a
Yeah.
lot of, making fun of them as they were coming out. But I think that we legitimately thought that one would take root by now, that there would be a new form factor that
Mhm.
came out. Now, I think there's a lot of hope in OpenAI and the deal they made with Johnny Ive and his business, that there's one coming. But I don't think we've seen a new device that is truly AI first, that has redefined kind of the form factor for this era. And I'm a little bit surprised by that. I would have thought we'd have a first version that people were actually using, that early adopters were experimenting with right now. And I don't feel like we did.
I have had because we live in Storm Alley here in Nashville, I have had a roofer come to my door with the Ray-Ban Meta glasses.
Mm-hmm.
He actually evaluated my roof with those glasses. Now, do you count that as an AI first?
I'm looking for consumer, right? Like, I think there's probably...
You don't think that's consumer?
I don't think those are consumer applications, right?
Oh,
that's not
Meta
mass
glasses?
consumer. Not mass consumer. That's a business application, right?
No.
That would be like if the only people that used the iPhone were people that happen to be in delivery trucks, right, using it. But it's not.
I
It's
see.
mass
You're saying
adoption.
they're using it for business.
That's right.
Not just like people walking around every day.
Not just for a individual consumer purpose.
Right. Yes. Although, last night realized that my husband did not know that I was going to be out of town next week. And maybe we should be wearing these Meta glasses so we could just roll back, on the video. Just find out. Hey, did Courtney ever tell Chase about
the replay glasses? That's
the
what,
replay
that's what
glasses?
Yeah.
Guys, this is how we get consumers in on this husband-wife,
I'm looking to try to help the divorce rate go down, not up, Courtney. So I think I'm going to hold back on that. That might not be good for humanity.
Actually, maybe you would be helping, because if those Ray-Bans downloaded into my task list, like reminders, like your daily overview,
That's better than the replay glasses. I like that idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know how much trouble I would get into if we had real replay?
Yeah. Don't anybody do that. That's a bad idea. That's a good point. Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah.
Mohan, what about you?
Years back, I would have said, with all the momentum around open source, that there would be a lot more open source models out there. And it's not happened, right? So because I think it's much harder for companies to build their own custom models, and we all more and more depend on the foundational public models by these large companies. I would say that's been pretty much that's a surprise from 2 years back thinking now. The other one that surprises me is, you would think that one of the Fortune 500 companies or Fortune 2000 companies would have just re-architected itself and said, we are AI native now, and we're going to put this thing out there. Even from a PR perspective, nobody has done it. None of the larger companies have done it. You think somebody would have, somebody in trouble maybe would have done it. But I can't think of any, because I think the culture and change management are really, really hard.
Here's another one. I think I'm surprised that Apple hasn't done better navigating this shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for a while, we thought they were being, I don't know, it's kind of like being fashionably late, right? They're just the innovator that's never first to the game but crushes everybody else. Now we're like, this is getting a little bit long in the tooth. I think they've just missed the mark. And I think we're all surprised by that. Like, it feels par for the course now, but if you rewind to 2 years ago, none of us would have expected that.
That's a really good point. Where do you think that is?
I keep thinking they know something we don't. It's like I'm like a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, it seems like it is a different type of skill set, right? So even for Apple, they didn't get into social, right? When they could have. You can say iMessage is the best they've done when it comes to social. They've really not done. Maybe it's a different skill set than what they're good at.
I think there's a lot of truth to that, Mohan. I also think there's a different skill set. Tim Cook, I think, is a hardcore operator. I don't know that he's an innovator, right? And if you look at where did Apple really make it, it was the iPhone, right? And that, to your point, was a different skill set, just technology-wise, but also that came from who, right? It came from Mr. Apple. It didn't come from
Yeah.
Tim Cook, right? It came from Steve Jobs. And so I think Steve Jobs and Johnny Ives drove innovation in the past. And Tim Cook has done a phenomenal job. He's a great leader, but he has made that company an operating machine. And it's hard to innovate and come up with brand new ideas. And I think you miss curves sometimes when you're too much of an operator.
Yeah. And I think there's something to say about not being founder led, right? To make these sharp turns when it's not a crisis, right? It's something that only founders can do. In that sense, I think Microsoft and Google have done amazingly well because
Right.
those are exceptions to the rule.
Yep.
But ultimately, it requires somebody like a Zuck to take Meta in a totally different way,
Right.
right? So it's very hard for professional executives to do that.
It's a great point.
David, Mohan, happy 100 episodes.
Happy 100.
It's been a joy. I've learned a lot, and hopefully for all of those listening, you have as well. Thank you, as always.
Thank you, Courtney. Thanks, David.
Thanks.
100 episodes.
Happy birthday to us.
Happy birthday.
The new era of commercial intelligence, well, it's here. If you're interested in having real-time, objective intelligence on the health of your commercial relationships, you might be interested in trying out Knownwell. So stop flying blind and start sprinting ahead. Go to knownwell.com/experience to set up a time to speak with the Knownwell team. Pete Buer has been riding shotgun with us for nearly 100 episodes of AI Knowhow. So I wanted to take a look back on the last 2 years of AI with Pete as well. Pete Buer, how are you?
I am good, Courtney. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, today we are celebrating something that you've been a big part of, and that's making it to 100 episodes.
Woohoo.
I know, a big day. So few podcasts make it really, honestly, anywhere close to this. And I just couldn't let today go by without getting your thoughts and your reflections on the last 100 episode. What stands out to you as you think back on 100 episodes?
Well, thanks for asking. My mind first went to, can I come up with a list of David Letterman top 10 cool things that we learned, across our time together. But I kept going to my heart rather than my head as I thought about this time together. I feel like X years from now, when we look back on this time, much more starkly than we can appreciate now, we're going to see that this was a moment of migration in our lives as modern humans.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel gratitude for having had the invitation to kind of, I don't know, commentate or observe or participate in the change that's happening now. And I think about the 100 episodes as 100 chances to see something fresh, to see something cool that's going on, to learn something. Man, in a lifetime, do you get 100 chances to learn something really cool? I mean, I suppose so, but still, I think it's a lot. And maybe most importantly, 100 amazing people. When I think about the people that we've talked to in each of these episodes, from entrepreneurs to business leaders to government representatives to academics to theologians to philosophers.
Yeah.
They've all shared this bond. Like, they're all interested in the train, but they also all have been so amazingly careful, full of care toward the space, toward their contribution. I don't know. I just feel like the whole thing has been one massive, bright, shiny gift to unwrap, and I'm just super grateful for it.
You know, Pete, I love that. And I think it's so true. But I do find myself at this moment wondering, how in the world did our Pepsi 3000 tasting not get in the list?
It would have been in the Letterman list, I think.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I couldn't resonate more. And I think it's been just such a joy. You're such a lifelong learner. And I think it has shown in how you've held these discussions and really valued the time with each person that's been on the show over the last 100 episode. And I just think it's been such a joy to hear your spirit in that and kind of taking us along in those conversations and those thoughts. It's been kind of wonderful to kind of see through your eyes in those interviews.
Thank you for that, Courtney. And I think it's that everyone has something special to teach, and our job is to find our way to it together. And it's been fun.
That's awesome. Okay, Pete, last question.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything that you are surprised that you haven't seen happen yet that you thought, hey, over the course of 100 episodes, I thought we'd be talking about fill in the blank?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty surprised, pretty psyched that Arnold Schwarzenegger hasn't shown up on my doorstep. Like, that was the big one I've been worried about all along. Or the guy who came afterwards, who was like liquid metal and driven by AI.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the thing. Like, I would have imagined by now something really awful would have happened. And, whistling past the graveyard, knock on wood, whatever your superstition leads you to, it hasn't happened yet. And so I hope we'll all, especially the people who control the technology, will continue to bring care to its stewardship. But it's my big surprise, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Pete, I have to say it. Thank you, as always.
Thank you, Courtney.
So for our 100th episode, I wanted to turn things over to ChatGPT.
Thanks as always for listening and watching. Hitting 100 episodes is a huge milestone, and normally we'd ask one of our AI friends to weigh in here. But Courtney, I'd love to hear from you instead. After all these conversations, what surprised you most about how leaders are actually using AI? And looking ahead, what excites you most about the next 100 episodes?
In the next 100 episodes, I'm really excited about interviewing Sam Altman after his documentary. In addition, I'm excited for more workflows that are easy and stay up to date and that anybody can really do and manage. I'm also personally very excited for more AI in our households to help us get more done with things like our laundry. Can it help with that? I don't know, but I think we'll find out in the next 100 episodes.
And now you're in the know. Thanks as always for listening. We'll see you next week with more AI applications, discussions, and experts.
Good job, ChatGPT. And I'll take it back over next week. Hey, if you made it this far in the episode, first of all, thank you. And second, we know that AI is changing all the time. And so we've got you covered. Here is another great episode for you to watch to stay in the loop on what's happening in AI and business. And second of all, we'd love for you to subscribe. You can do that right here. I've always wanted to do that, by the way. So do that now. That would be great.